And breathing. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. Feeling the ground beneath, probably the side of your feet, your sit bones, the ground that supports you in your practice. And taking note of the inner landscape of your body and your mind. How do you feel today? Is your mind really busy, or is it starting to slow down a little bit? As you bring attention to your feet touching the ground, you can also notice that your attention is on the feet, but it's also on the present moment. So, part of our practice in yoga is mindfulness or present moment awareness. And as you breathe in, extend your spine up like you're a dancer. And breathe out and relax. Breathe in again, extending your spine. And breathing out. And bring your hands to your shoulders and just imagine you could pull your shoulders out gently with your fingertips. And then what that allows is your shoulder blades to kind of slot in a better position for posture. Just going down slightly with the blades. Now bringing your hands to your heart center in Anjali Mudra. Setting your intention for your class today, whatever that may be. But while we're in class today, just to notice how you feel in your body and also notice where your mind is. If you find there are times where you're starting to think of what's happening after class, or this is a recording, what's going to happen after I go through the moves, really allow those thoughts to just kind of pass by in your mind like clouds in the sky. Because we're here to be right here, right now. And then dropping your hands down to your lap. And let's open our eyes and lift our heads. So perfect. So let's come to, excuse me, I have allergies, so the dust is everywhere. We're going to come to using our blocks. Just have you can have a kneeling on your block. Now, your kneeling could be like this, I'm going to do sideways, by the way, so profile. So that this could be just on a medium setting here. It could be like you're on a bench, or it could be, I do mine like this. And take your other block, you have it at the ready. So I'm sitting in my block between, where I can sit down. And this is just really to open our chest. So you can have the block behind you in case you need it. So opening up is opening your heart up. So your collarbones lift, and you can bring your hands behind you, and they can be on the block, As you lift your collarbones up and you can bring your head back, if you notice that you have crunching in your neck, just cast your eyes way, way down as possible. Breathing in through your nose, out through your nose. And you notice most of your breathing here will be in the upper chest. And coming down. And I did that to start out with because I wanted you to be aware of the chest breathing. So coming back to a seated position now, let's do some 3-part breathing. So coming back into your comfortable seat, now that you've kind of felt this in the upper chest, you might want to cross your legs differently. 3-part breathing would be a third would be in the belly area, a third on the rib cage, so you're going wide, and also behind you, your rib cage behind you, you puff that out because that's where your kidneys are, right? And then the last third is the upper chest. So let's just do a few breaths like this. And again, in through the nose and out through the nose, and really be lifting here. We're not here to round our upper back, so lifting. So think about a cup of water and you're filling it 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. So you can close your eyes during this, so just you can feel within. So let's start. 1/3 in the bottom, the belly. Feel it expand into your hands. Pause. 1/3 side rib cage and your back. So it goes out a bit. Pause. 1/3 upper chest. And pause. And just hold here for a moment. And then release. Belly, midsection, upper chest. Let's do that 2 more times. So breathing in, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Lifting the collarbones, holding, and then release. Belly 1/3, rib cage, back, and then upper chest. And then 1 more time. And do it on your own. And release. It's a really nice way to just start your practice and be thinking about doing this breathing during your practice. So now let's come to table pose. And in table pose, we can come back, first of all, just to a child's pose. So you can bring your knees a little wider and then just come back, child's pose. You can push against your palms and your rear end will be closer to your heels. And coming up, you can bring the knees closer together underneath your shoulder, your hips, and bring your right arm forward, and you're going to come back like into a half child's pose. So right arm forward, left elbow down. So your right arm is getting a really good stretch here, including your armpit. Breathe into any uncomfortable area you have, if any. And let's come up, bring that right hand back. Now left hand forward. And your right elbow is going to come down to the ground as you come back into a half child's pose. And coming up. And yeah, I'm just looking. I have a plan every time, so I'm looking, what are my plans today? Let's come into a cat cow. So I'm going to do this profile. So we're going to do breathing in through cat. So you're going to come up. So when you breathe in through cat, you want your lower back and your middle back all to be puffing out. Breathing in. And then breathing out, leading with your tailbone. Head comes last. Breathing in. And breathing out. And breathing in. Pushing through your hands, arms are straight, and breathing out. Head comes last. And this time, bring your knees back further, and you're going to come down into seal pose. So the hands are out like seal hands, seal paws, I guess. It's a seal, the version of seal. So it's a back bend, lifting your heart up and trying not to have your head jerked back. So you're looking up without jerking your head back. You can really feel this. And I'm just bringing my legs a little closer together. And let's come up again. And let's do another cat. Another cow. Another cat. Breathing in. Pushing up. Another cow. And then bringing the knees back. Bring the hands out like a seal paw hands. And then coming down into seal one more time. And have the legs pretty close together. And coming up. Let's take our 2 blocks. Now, so this is, we see the advantage of 2 blocks. I'm going to stack them on top like this, okay? You're going to sit on your blocks. And take your left knee down and back. So you can see I've got one knee on the ground, the left knee on the ground, the right leg is up. And we're just going to lift up. So when we do things like twists and side bends, we're always lifting before you do the action. So the lift is the in-breath. And think of that lift as that just in front of your spine, there's an energy channel called the Shishumanati. And just imagining it's like you're lifting that whole thing up. Because when we're doing a lot of these yoga poses, the front body is also getting extended. So we're not just about backs, we're also the front body and the upper chest, around the pec area, all very important. We're taking your left hand on the outside of your right knee. You can bring your arm down a little bit. And then taking your right hand, you can put it on your hip, your right hip, and then just twist over. So you're opening that right shoulder to the back. And you're looking behind you. Breathing, of course. And press that left hand into the right thigh and the thigh into the hand. A little leverage there. And then coming down, you can then slide that arm just a little bit further down. You're getting a little bit of a shoulder stretch here, and even taking your right hand and putting it on that right knee and just kind of stretching that shoulder a little. So you're looking a little more towards the center of the mat. And if you have that right hand on the right knee, it kind of like allows you to get that better stretch because you're pulling away from the shoulder and coming up. Let's do the other side. So now we've got the right knee down, left leg in front of you. Again, lifting up, right arm up, and then slide it down the outside of the left thigh. And then taking that left hand onto your hip, your left hip, you're going to twist over to your left and allow that left shoulder to come back. Breathing. Just notice the breathing in these kind of constrictive positions where you're pressing, you're compressing. Breathing in and out. Feel the twist. Now coming forward, sliding that right arm down a little further. Take your left hand on your left knee, and then you're going to pull that left knee out as you look down towards your mat for a right shoulder stretch. And I've got my chin kind of on my shoulder a bit. And release. Let's get some upper body work, some 3-part breathing. Let's move now to a low lunge. And you're going to need your blocks. They'll be handy. So I'm going to start with a low lunge, Anjaneyasana, with my right leg forward and the right and the left knee down on the ground. So here we are. And I'm going to actually show you from the profile because it's important. And have the blocks nearby. So when you're doing Anjaneyasana, you're going to push down to the back foot, the top of the back foot. You're also lifting, so you're not hanging in your hips. You're lifting up and taking your right hand and then your left hand on top. Now, these arms are straight. So what you're doing now is you're lifted up. You're kind of feeling that, like you got a tight pair of jeans on. You're feeling that real in here. And then you're going to go down forward. Push down with your hands. And you'll notice my knee is over my ankle, which is okay. The other part of this is to imagine your pubic bone is coming up to your navel. So you get a little bit, tiny bit of extra stretch in your left hip flexor there. So this is how it looks. So we're not going forward with the back. You're keeping a nice straight back if possible, and then coming forward, and your arms are pushing down. You're above your knee. And then we're going to come back and grab your blocks away there. And then we're going to come into, curl your back toes under. You're going to bring your back knee up. I'm almost on the edge of my mat here. And then what we're going to do is just bring that left knee in. You'll notice my back is rounding here. And then I'm going to come back, and the back is a little straighter. Back heel lifted, like you're in a low lunge, and then bring that knee in again. So you're hugging the knee to the chest. 2, low lunge, and the blocks are on the middle setting here. 3, unless you want to be on the ground. Okay, there we are. Let's now bring that left knee down, and then coming up with a long back. Engage the core here. And then you can bring your arms overhead this time. And this is a balance pose. And then coming down. Let's do the other side now. So bringing the left foot forward, right foot back, right knee down on the ground. Blocks nearby. We're going to do that same action. So pressing down in the top of the back foot. Left arm, left hand, right hand, lifting up, bringing those hip points in, and then coming down forward. Pushing down with the hands, straight arms. Tucking that pubic bone up to the navel. And you'll notice when you do that, you've got a much better hip flexor stretch. And then let's come up and go to the blocks, hands on the blocks, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee up, and now you're in a low lunge. And we're going to do that same movement. We're going to come up and bring that right knee in, And then go back and notice the back straightens out. And then it curls when you bring the knee in. Again, breathing in, breathing out. Of course, the back heel's lifted. Breathing in and breathing out. And then bring that back knee down. Coming back in. Now you can just come up into your Anjaneyasana, full expression. Happy to be here. Breathing. And then coming down. It's such a nice way to go. So let's come into, from here, let's come into Uttanasana. So I like to come into it. You don't have to, but I like to come into it into a squat first. If you're in the squat and you have the blocks in your hands, you can turn this into Malasana, which is really just like a child's pose with me in a squat. Then bring the box a little closer to you, and then I just launch myself up into Uttanasana. Hands on your hip crease and come up. So now we're in standing. And I know that this camera, I gotta make sure you can see me, because sometimes my arms will be over my head, so we'll just have to deal with that. So what we're gonna do here is just a little bit of a warm up, and it's gonna just be doing crescent lunges. And this was taught to me by another yoga teacher, and this is really helpful for posture. So what we're gonna do is put one arm over the other, and I'm gonna walk up to the camera to show you this, like that. One arm over the other, and we're just going to bring the feet back and dip the knees down. We're going to do 5 on each side to start with. So bringing the right foot, let's do the left foot back first. Left foot back, and then dip down and come forward. Now the whole time, the key for this is to keep your body straight. So you do not want to be leaning forward. So right foot down, back, here we go. That's 1 each side. Breathing in. Out, breathing in, this is 2, out, breathing in, out, in, 3, and this is for strengthening and warming up. And the last one, and I'll do the next time I do this, I'll do this profile. And release. Shake the arms out. Get these out of the way. So I'm going to do this on a profile, so you see you do not want to be going forward with this. So if you find yourself going forward, just don't make as long a stance. So it doesn't matter what arm's on top of the other, but whatever one was not on top, put it on top this time. And this time we're going to bring the right leg back first. So right leg back into like a crescent lunge, and then dip, up and back, dip. So you notice I'm staying straight. That's 1. 2, breathing in as you come up, breathing out as you come down. Remember, this is also a balance pose. Crescent lunge is always a balance pose. 1 more time each side. And release. And just take a moment here. Close your eyes. You're standing in Tadasana. And your feet are hip distance apart. Breathing in and breathing out. Imagine your tailbone is like a big dinosaur tail. So it's really just kind of dropping down a bit, and your collarbones are lifted. Knees are bent. And just notice how you feel. and release. I'm going to come into the next thing to do here, and it's going to be basically a warrior 1 to warrior 3. So have your blocks ready. And I'm going to do it. I'm going to start here. Take a block with you, though. And we're going to have our right foot forward, left foot back. Warrior 1, which means your back heel is down, and it's pointed somewhere off in diagonal. And your hips are not square, okay? They're also kind of diagonal. They don't have to be squared for this. And look at your front knee, and if the knee is sickling in, lift your front heel. That allows your hip to bring that knee out, because you don't want your knee to be torquing. So with this warrior 1, I'm going to step back a little further. Again, these are always balance poses. Take your block in your hand, and then you're going to bring your block up, and you're going to place it behind your head, and really be prepared for this. Bring your elbows to the ceiling, and press to the back feet. So you're lifting up, and your head is supported by the block. Lifting. Really feel the belly here. Engaged. Breathing. So you're looking up at the sky or your ceiling. And now bring that block up overhead, like this is our warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. And one more time, we're going to bring the block behind your head, elbows lifted. Press into that back foot, be mindful of your front knee. And then hands overhead again, arms overhead. And now we're going to make a little bit of a transition. So keep the block in the hand, keep it in the left hand, bring it down to the ground. So now you've got the 2 blocks in the high setting. And then we're going to take that left leg up behind you. So let me do this from the side. It's harder to see. So this is kind of like a version of warrior 3. So that left leg behind me and the toes pointed to the midline. And to make this even more interesting, if you can add the right arm forward like a handshake. Engage your core here. Really feel for that standing leg like you're a flamingo, right? And again, the thumb of the right hand is pointed to the ceiling, and then you can come down and back. I'm going to bring my blocks back. I'm almost off my mat, coming back into warrior 1, and this time just with the arms overhead. And down. Let's do that for the other side. I'm going to go forward a little bit further. And this time taking the block in your right hand. It's behind your head. I'm going to do this in profile now. And bringing the elbows up to the ceiling. Pushing to the back foot. Being mindful of your front knee. Then bring that block up into your warrior 1 with a block. It kind of cuts me off the camera, but you can imagine. And then coming down again, warrior 1, variation with the block, and this helps your neck and your head be supported, absolutely. And then the blocks overhead in warrior 1. Okay, here we are. And then we're going to bring that block forward. And again, long back. Now you're going to come into, I'm going to pull back a little because I'm off my mat. Come and bring that back leg up so that this time it would be your right leg behind you. Point the toes to the middle of your body. Engage your core. And then bring your left arm forward in a cross crawl pattern. So again, you're in a handshake, or you could call it, I'm hitchhiking, right? And, one arm is going to be different than the other. And then coming down, bring that back foot down into warrior 1. Coming up, engaging your core, coming up. Arms overhead into your warrior one. It might be a little easier this time. Bring the arms to the side. Whoa, pretty intense, huh? Let's come into horse stance. They call this goddess stance as well. So the feet are out to the side, and your knees are tracking over your ankles. So what you don't want to do in something like this is you don't want to be doing this, okay? Your legs might have to be closer together, and that's okay. Excuse me. You want to be sitting down like you're on a horse. So just imagine you're on your horse, but you're not doing this. You're not like galloping or something and having to lean forward. You're just sitting on it, okay? So what we're going to do is a little yin-yang symbol here. So bringing the right arm up, do a side bend to the left and bring the left arm under. Be mindful of your knees over your ankles. You can really feel the pelvic floor here as you're in this horse stance. Let's move to the other side. So the left arm over, right arm under. Side bend. And also feel the outside edge, your rib cage on the left side here. Breathe into it. And coming up again and around. Here we are. Oh my gosh. Back at the yin-yang symbols. Again. The other way. Again, feeling the right side of your rib cage. And coming up again. One more time each side. I think this is the third one here. If I'm wrong, it's okay. We can do one extra on one side. And here. And then coming up, you can straighten your feet. Put your hands on the hip crease here. And come down with a long back into your wide angle forward fold. And if you have blocks nearby, you can rest your head on the blocks. Whatever configuration enables the block to support your head, the blocks. And just rest here for a moment. Breathing in and out, and really feel the belly here. You really do some belly breathing, so really focusing on the belly filling up and the belly emptying. And then let's come up. And we're going to do, normally a lot of times people do what they call sun salutations. Hands on the hip crease, come up with a long back. We're going to do a moon salutation, variation of the moon salutation. And it's kind of a simpler one, but it's kind of nice. And so we always do two. Blocks can be nearby. So we start, moon is the Chandra Namaskar. Usually it's Surya Namaskar, where we're doing Chandra. And with yoga, typically the early morning classes, like 7 o'clock or something, you're doing the sun salutations. And when you get later in the morning, like here, you do the moon. But, I think it just doesn't really matter, truthfully, because whatever fits into the practice you're doing that morning is more important. So start with the feet in Tadasana. And you're going to bring your hands down wide and up to the sky. Bring your palms together. You can have a little back bend here. And then bring your thumbs to your third eye, to your heart, and then coming down into Uttanasana. So breathing in as you come into halfway lift, and you're going to push against your shins, or you're on the ground and you're pushing forward with a long back and your heart is forward. And I'm not going to mirror you on this one. So it'll look like I'm doing something different. I'm doing the other side. So just listen to the cues and then it'll be just fine. So with this one, bringing the left knee down, coming back into that low lunge we were just familiar with. So let's just bring the arms overhead, tucking the pubic bone to the navel, and then coming down slowly. It's a balanced pose. We're going to come into downward facing dog. So hands on either side of the foot, the front foot, and then just coming into downward dog. So with downward dog, there's several steps for it to be a successful dog. And, there's different ways to look at success here. You can bend the knees and then lift your butt up. The knees are going to be bent and your heels do not need to touch the ground. And scoop your belly in. It gives your back length. Next step is to bend your elbows and rotate your armpits in and up with your hands, and they're like the hands are like webbed fingers. And then bringing your heart forward goes just a little bit. This is downward dog. So you're not hanging in your shoulders. And then bring your knees down and come into cow pose. And then you're going to come into, you might want to widen your knees, come into child's pose. So this is a lot more gentle than a sun salutation. And then coming up to kneeling with the legs exactly where they're at. So your arms come up and you are holding the moon in your arms as a little back bend. And then when you come down, bring the elbows together if you can. And you're going to slowly, so engage core here. You're going to come down. Your elbows are going to hit the ground. There we are. Elbows in the ground. Now bring your hands behind your head and press your fingers together to start with. And then you can bring the palms together and the thumbs will actually touch the top of your back, lower neck. And then coming forward, you can bring your knees closer together if you like, and then coming into cow again. And then coming into downward facing dog again. And then right knee down, left leg forward. Again, it will look different for you. Coming into your low lunge. And then hands, actually bring them down and have the thumbs point back as you lift your heart up. Again, this is like hitchhiking. And coming down, hands on either side of the front foot. And then you're just going to bring that back foot gently to meet the front foot into Uttanasana. Knees can be bent. We're going to do a halfway lift again, breathing in. And breathing out as you come down. And now breathing in, coming up. Hands, I'm going to step back a bit, hands overhead, arms overhead. And then thumbs down to the third eye and heart. When we do that again, we'll do a little quicker. And this time I'm going to do it profile. Okay? So it's kind of hard when everything's like this because you don't get to see the other side. That's the advantage of live classes. So here we are. We're starting in Tadasana. I'm going to do it one more time. So hands down, widen up. Bring the palms together. And breathing out as you bring your thumbs to your third eye, heart, and down into your Uttanasana. Breathing in, halfway lift. And breathing out. Now bringing that right knee down. So your left leg is forward. And you're in Anjaneyasana, arms overhead. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out into downward facing dog. And knees down, breathing in for cow. And breathing out for coming down into child's pose. Breathing in, you're holding the moon. Breathing out, elbows together, coming down into that prayer pose. Breathing in, pressing the fingers together. And breathing out, bringing the palms together and your thumbs are on the upper back. Breathing in for cow. Breathing out, downward facing dog. Breathing in, left knee down, right leg forward. So your low lunge here. Breathing in, Anjamayasana, like knees down, legs, sorry. And then coming down, breathing out, coming down. Breathing in, front foot. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out, coming down. Now breathing in, coming up. And bring the hands down into Anjali Mudra. So I wanted to do the little breathing part so you kind of knew the rhythm of it, but you don't have to go fast. But it's nice to do one slower and one faster. Absolutely. So let's come to, I hope you have a wall. I'm going to come to a wall now, which I'm really grateful. There's a lot of wall space here at the Y. So standing like I'm side to the wall like this. Then I'm going to bring my hands so I'm going to be facing the wall. And so for me, and it may be different for you, but this is my right side. The wall is to my right, which will look different for you. And then I'm going to step the leg closest to the wall. I'm going to step it forward. Okay. The other foot is back. It doesn't have to be back very far. Both hands are on the wall. And then just being mindful, bringing that, for me, this might be your left arm, bring the right arm back. And you might have to walk a little closer, maybe an inch from the wall, maybe a little further. But the right arm, for me, it's my right arm back. The left hand is on the wall, and I'm going to push into that hand to stretch that right shoulder. And maybe your hand is down here. You're going to do what you can, because shoulder mobility is different for me for both sides for sure. So this is my better side. You can push out to that left, for me, this left hand, the one that's not stretched out, I'm pushing it out and looking forward. And what I find a lot of people do is they tend to put their head down. You really want to be looking forward. In a lot of these poses, you look forward, not hanging your head. Stay here for a little bit longer. And then come out of this, bring that front foot to meet the back foot, and bring that arm that was stretched out down and pressing the palm against the wall. And then you can just rotate around. Hope you can hear me here. I'm now going to come and do the other side. So this now is my left foot, maybe your right foot. But it's about an inch or so from this wall, and my hip is touching the wall too. And it maybe not be that way for you, but both of my hands are now up against the wall, both hands. And I might just come over here a little further. I think you can see me. And I just want to make sure I'm not going to hit that movement. Okay, so this is my right hand pressed against the wall, the left arm's behind me. And then just pushing into this right hand. And the left shoulder will get a really good stretch here. So I'm going to shoulder opening, heart opening, very similar. And looking forward while I'm pushing my right hand into the wall. Again, this back arm might be down here, depending on your ability. And release. You can bring that front foot to meet the back foot, rotate to face the wall, and then step away. Because you don't want to do any of this stuff fast. Do it fast, and that's going to be a problem. So let's come down to seated again. We're going to do a version of Navasana, which is boat pose, just for a little strengthening. So with this version, we're not, if you can bring your legs up, more power to you. I can't, so I have to work with what I have. So lifting my heart up, my hands are pointed towards me. And think of that 3-part breathing we were doing earlier on. Okay, heart lifted. Now engage your core, so kind of like pulling your hip bones together, I think, if they could do that. And then take your hands and put them on the side, just below your knee. There's some pretty tight cords there. So hold on there, engage the core, and then you can bring your legs up like this. And this is easier on your back. For me, it is. Now, if you can do a full-on boat pose with the arms out and maybe the legs up, go for it. But for me, this works. I always think it's good to do. It's doable, right? Engage the core here. Keep the heart lifted. And then you can come down. Ha. And we do that one more time. Okay. So again, lifting. You can start out like this, lifting the heart, engaging the core, bringing the hands here, and breathing. Think of the 3-part breathing as we come up. And then release. Oh, that's such a nice thing to do. So what I'm going to do here is do a pose called camel pose with blocks. We've been doing some heart opening. So I want to do one more, and I'm going to do this sideways. And you might be able to just go ahead and do this without blocks. But for people that have an issue with doing camel pose, your blocks can be together like this, okay, on the low setting. I'm going to get in front of my blocks, and then the toes can be on the blocks. So I get my toes on the blocks, and just make sure they're forward enough so they don't come off the block. And here I am, going to launch myself into this. It's actually a toe stretch too, but coming up onto the kneeling here. So a really good way to do camel pose, and we can do the full whack camel pose, but for me, that I tend to like to teach where it's more therapeutic. And so taking your hands into fists here and putting them on your lower back. And then what you can do is pull up. You're going to actually press those fists kind of together a little bit. And then you're going to pull them up your back, up your multifidi. And then your heart lifts and you come back into your camel pose. And breathe. And support your back with your fists. It's a really nice thing to do. And slowly come down. And we're going to come to our backs now for a twist. And this is a very easy twist. And it starts with, now, some people can bring their knees together and that's fine. But I have a hip replacement. So for me, I keep a block between my legs. And so you start out with, walk out to the side. You start off with your legs in the twist. You can see my legs are here. And just make sure that those knees are lined up. There's not one knee pulled back. They're like one line. And then, this is why I have a blanket here. Then what you're going to do is then, while you're here, you're going to now bring that left. This is me going to my right side. So my legs are bent. Block is in between. To my right side here. So this isn't mirroring you. It'll look a little different than you. And then you could bring this other arm, this left arm for me, and break it out and open up the heart. So we've been doing some heart opening, some chest opening. And if you find that this is hard to do, you could pulse and just come back and forth. until you feel it's more comfortable for you to lay that left arm on at least the back of the hand on the ground. Just a few of these. And then you're there. And you can look to your left. So it's more of a passive twist. And just being mindful of those knees. I know my left knee wants to pull back. My hip wants to pull back. Now, if your shoulder's not on the ground, this is why blankets are great, or cushions. You have a cushion. Because it's good to have the shoulder supported here. And these legs, okay, the other thing with the legs, you're pulling them close to your chest. Right? And just notice how you feel here. You could do some 3-part breathing here and really notice the breath in the body. And then bring this is my left arm up, and we're going to do the other side. So I'll be facing initially away from you, but then I'll be facing you. So we'll get this block out of the way here. And the block between the legs again, if that works for you. And you're going to bring your legs over to the left. Of course, that's the other side for me. And I'm going to make sure I've got something there for my shoulder. And just hug those legs close to the chest. And then the arm can come out. And this side is easier for me to do this. And I'm looking to my right. So I'm looking away from my knees. Breathing in and out. And then when you're ready, engage your core muscles and pull your knees to the midline, and then get ready for your Shavasana. So find a comfortable way. If you have a blanket like me, a Mexican blanket, you can look at it like that and just fold it in thirds. So fold it 1/3 and then 1/3. And then you've got your blocks. And we're going to end on time, so I'll have a little shorter of a Shavasana, but there we go. So I'm going to inchworm here my little blanket. Right? Inchworm there. And I'm going to put my butt on the ground, but my lower back is supported by this blanket. And then I'm inchworming it so it's got some support for my head. And then if I want to, I've got these 2 blocks, and I can go into like a Baddha Konasana. So my feet are together. The side of my thighs is resting on the block. The block is like on its edge. And just now time for Shavasana. And I apologize in advance that it's short. And just giving yourself this time to notice how you feel. And just notice where your mind's at. What are you thinking about? And now breathing deeply, coming back into your room, wherever it is you're engaged in yoga practice. And wiggling your fingers and toes. We say that because they're the end of the hands, end of the feet. It's a way to wake up. And then when you're ready, roll to the right side. And then push yourself up to seated when you're ready. And close your eyes when you get there. Coming that comfortable seated position. I'm just again going within to see where are you at now. A good question is always to ask, where am I? What am I? Where am I? Bring your hands to your heart center. Nonchalantly withdraw. Then bowing your head to your hands. In gratitude, I'm so glad you came here today, whether you're listening to this on a recording or here live. So grateful for you to take advantage of this wonderful offering by the YMCA. And with that in mind, namaste. Thank you so much.